Another month, another acquisition video. Let's hop right into it with May 2022. First up, we have another Romanian M17 piece here. This one was provided by MOS Tactical, which also threw in a shirt. Thank you guys for that. MOS Tactical is a US-based survival and tactical company that makes a point to sell US-made products. You can check them out, link to their website is in the description below. Back to the pants though, these are pretty interesting for a few reasons. The primary one is as seen here. The previous owner got them while he was in Romania in 2017, and as you can see, the pattern is a bit different. It's hard to say, but it's a good possibility that these were an early version or that the pattern was simply changed over time. The cut is virtually identical to the newer uniform. As mentioned with the last acquisition video, a definitive video for this camouflage family looks to be in our future. Next up from next door Bulgaria, we have this M36B Type 1 helmet. This particular variant is slightly different from the Type 2 simply because of the amount of rivets. We're not going to go into too much detail as a proper video on these helmets is actually right around the corner. Speaking of helmets, that brings us to an early production of the US Mitchell helmet cover. These ones were first introduced in 1959, and the easiest way to identify them are the white tags with the manufacturer on them versus the standard black stamps seen on most others afterwards. They have become highly sought after, and even ones that look like this with repairs and graffiti go for quite a bit. Moving on are these two patterns out of Africa. The one on the left is a desert version of a pattern used by Burkina Faso and appears to be possibly a sort of display or sample piece, as it includes extra buttons, threads, and even a removable name tape showing the manufacturer's name. Mark is a company that's been creating a number of uniforms for many West African nations for quite a while. The one on the right is an Italian Vegetato copy in a French F1 style cut used by Congolese forces. The pattern has appeared in a few different cuts as well. Moving up to Northern Africa is this sort of sample Egyptian naval uniform that we actually covered in a recent video that's talked about copies of the US Navy's NWU camouflage uniforms. Link to that can be found at the end if you haven't watched yet. Here are two more rather interesting camouflages. This woodland style, which is actually the French CCE pattern, is used by Palestine. Inside the tags show quite a bit of detail describing the uniform in Arabic as well as Hebrew. The other jacket is an interesting one as it was a pattern used by the Afghan Public Protection Force, or APPF for short. This force essentially assisted and guarded the populace and things relating to them such as infrastructure, construction sites, and things related to the economy and growth of the country between 2009 and 2021. The pattern was often seen in a BDU cut, however this one is nearly identical to the Army's one which sported the Spec Force design. Next up are a few pairs of pants, or rather overalls, specifically ones used by French opposing forces in the blue flecktarn pattern. Gotta keep an eye out for the top, as well as two sets of Polish Moro. The one on the right appears to be the more common Army variant, while the one in the middle, that's a bit darker, is either the police or black Moro as used by the Marine and Air Force. It's a bit hard to tell as the colors of them are both pretty similar. All in all, there are at least 5 versions of this pattern seen between the late 60s and 2019. Now, here's a rather large assortment that was picked up at the Brimfield Flea Market in Brimfield, Massachusetts. The first two on the bottom are extra-large Vietnam-era US flak vests with 3/4 collar. They were found among a vintage clothing seller. As for the tops hanging up, these were, believe it or not, found in the trash. Now, it's not an uncommon sight to see vendors throw stuff out at the end of the day that they don't feel will sell, and these were just hanging out on a trash can. They are US HBT tops first seen during the Second World War and may be original, but they are certainly used. The patches and name tapes are a bit odd, however the patch attached to one of the chest pockets appears to be a theater-made version of the insignia for the 5th Corps Artillery, which was active from 1921 to 1946, then from 1950 to 75, and finally 1986 to 2007. So it's possible these jackets, assuming they're legit, fall within one of the first 2 time periods. Judging from the fact there are name tapes to begin with, it's more than likely post-war, putting it in the 2nd time period. Additionally, the red and yellow do tie to artillery, which was often identified by those colors. Finally, to end things off is this rather odd US Woodland BDU top. It was found among a pallet of used Army gear at a used clothing wholesaler, and as you can see, the inside has the US 3-color desert pattern. Now, its tags don't have a contract number on them, so it's more than likely a commercially made one using military specifications. However, it's a bit odd to see it as it's not technically reversible. Rather, the print is seen on both sides of the cloth and looks to bleed into one another. Why this was done is hard to say, perhaps an error in printing, recycling fabric, or something else entirely. But for the few dollars it cost, it was a cool find. But that will about do it for this month. Again, special thanks to MOS Tactical for sending the Romanian camouflage pants. If you're interested in offering or looking to sell pieces for future acquisition or the history of videos, or really any other type of videos we do on this channel, feel free to message us. Our address can also be found in the description below. Until next time, everyone, take it easy.